Hello, this is Vic Highland. Another one of the tutorials for guitar playing run through the Blues Camp site. We're going to talk a little bit today about how chords fit together in keys. This is one of the sort of important bits of being able to work songs out by other people, being able to do a bit of songwriting, and to sort of demystify how we choose which chords to go together, if you like. Now, there's a couple of little shortcuts for this, but first of all, let me explain how this works in the key of C. First of all, the notes of the key of C are all the white notes of the piano, starting from a C note up to the next C note, so there are no black notes. So on the guitar, you've got your C major scale. The actual scale would then, if you took alternate notes on a keyboard, you'd end up with a C and an E and a G, which would make a C chord. So that you would take your C chord, go on to the next note, which would be a D, and if you do the same thing of taking alternate notes, you'd end up with a D minor chord, and then an E minor chord, then an F chord, and then a G chord, and then an A minor chord. And then the chord at B is rather unusual because it's what we call a diminished triad. So I'm going to leave that one out for the moment. This is a chord that does crop up quite a lot in jazz, but for what we're doing, a simple construction of chords for pop music, we won't need that for the moment. And then, of course, out of those chords, the two really important chords are the C, because that's your root, and then your G. The G is called the dominant chord, and when you hear the G, you're sort of expecting the next chord to be the C, because that's what we call a cadence. It's just your ear is hearing one of the notes of the scale and it wants to rise up back to the C. And then really, the other chords, you can experiment to see how they go together. So that gives us, if we do it in one of the systems that's used, is to number the scales, number the chords. So you'd have one, let me just plug in guitar in, I just realised it's unplugged. It's live, folks. So the C, going to a G, you could go to an F, and maybe back to a C again. So you can experiment with this. So we call that a 1, 5, 4, 1. And there are lots of famous sequences that are used over and over in contemporary music. So A minor coming in as another chord. So a 1, 6, 4, 4 being the F, 5. So you can experiment around with all those things, and if you do them in the key of C to start with, you could then transpose them to other keys. Obviously on the guitar, a key like G is probably easier to play if you're only just beginning, because all the chords are really under your fingers, whereas in the key of C, of course, F sometimes is a bit problematic. But experiment with those, and then have a look around at some songs that you could analyse the type of chords that go together. So a couple of examples for that. A song like Redemption Song, Bob Marley, that's in G. That certainly fits to that pattern. A song like Father and Son, Cat Stevens, again in the key of G. And then there are songs that will go into the magic 1, 5, 6, 4 progression. So for instance, So Lonely by the Police, and I think the theme from The Lion King is in that, but there are hundreds of other songs that use that sequence. So mess around with those, have a bit of fun. Hopefully that explains a little bit about some very basic chord theory. Okay, and I'll see you again.